Hello, guys and girls, and welcome to episode 3 of the Bow Hike podcast. Today, I'm joined by my good friend, Derek Carlton. When I think of a guy that consistently shoots big bulls with a bow and arrow, Roosevelt's at least, I think Derek. I think of Derek Carlton. This guy is consistently killing big bulls. Him and his hunting partners, they're always getting it done. So today, we discuss strategies, tactics, what he looks for when he scouts, how he gets it done, and what it is about Roosevelt's that he just can't stay away from. I think this episode's great for new hunters as well as old hunters alike, because I just believe we never stop learning, especially when it comes to elk. So, with no further ado, here it is, episode 3, Talking Big Roosevelt's with Derek Carlton.
I'm ready to rock and roll.
All right, then we're good to go. Here's Derek. Derek's on. Derek, how's it going?
Good. Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be an awesome episode. We're gonna get into some stuff about you and get into some stuff about elk. So I think it'll be good for everybody that sucks at elk hunting like I do.
That's awesome.
So give us a little intro background on you, man.
Yeah. So when I was younger, I think I was about 7 or 8. I kind of got into the archery industry. With the old pro shop owner Todd Levings at Bowtech, and I was probably up there for about 7 years. I actually worked in the pro shop when I was younger, and then once I got to a certain age, they actually hired me on. So I got a lot of experience with meeting new people, working on bows, and really getting my foot in the door to the hunting industry. I made a couple good friends, like Ty Carey. He's the owner of Standing Buck Productions. I had the opportunity to go film with him. And do a couple shows with Cody Herman, the owner of Day One Outdoors. It was fun. I mean, it's something that I've always, will remember. And I kind of got into the archery and the filming, and just, loving everybody about it in the industry.
Yeah, cool. You're doing any filming now?
I did for a little bit. We took some time off, just because of being busy with college and getting done with my paramedic degree. But I see probably in the future we might start something back up again. But I mean,
Cool.
Just time will tell.
Cool. Yeah, that's actually where I met Derek. I'd followed him on Instagram. I think we'd follow each other.
Yep.
And I met him in a class. We were both majoring in our paramedic degrees. So he's a peer of mine. And actually, he was riding on an ambulance with me yesterday. His preceptor I was working with yesterday. So just a little background on that. So we got a quick view on your hunting history. Let's talk about your hunting history with some Rosies, man. That's what we're here to talk about.
Oh, dude, Rosies is probably my favorite thing. I've hunted some Rockies. There's just something about Roosevelt's from where I grew up around, like Willamette Valley, some of the Coast Range, is nothing beats Roosevelt hunting. I mean, you're dealing more with like the rainforest in a sense. You got a lot of you got Forest Service ground, BLM, some private timber companies. And it's just that terrain of Roosevelt's that you hunt every year that just makes it phenomenal. I mean, it's by far my favorite.
Yeah, that's one thing I wanted to get into was, here in Oregon, it's a little bit different than most other states. Washington, of course, is the same, but we can drive 5 hours and be hunting Rocky Mountain elk.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it's something the guys on the east side don't really drive over here to hunt. Roosevelt's unless they don't draw a tag, but
exactly.
we'll stay parked here instead of driving over there to check something else out, and that's different than a lot of states. Guys drive 4 and 5, 6, 8 hours just to go hunt elk in their state, and we can easily do that and hunt those big. Oregon doesn't have the biggest bulls, but every year there's bulls that are 360, 370 getting killed out of over-the-counter units. So
yeah, absolutely. It's funny that you say that. About driving, over to hunt Eastern Oregon unit. It seems like every year, depending on where we hunt in Oregon, there's always some fire danger. Where we're pushed to hunt the east stuff.
Yeah.
And it seems no matter what, that I'll go over there for a plan to hunt a week, and I mean I'm consistently looking to see what the fire danger does, and I'll be instantly the first person to pick up everything and be right back here hunting home.
Yeah. Yeah, I went over just a few years back with my girlfriend and her dad, and we hunted Eastern Oregon, and it was a blast. I mean, there's a bit of a difference. You can hike up on a ridge top and rip a bugle, and have 6 or 7 bulls answer you, and they're in earshot, but you almost can't see them.
Exactly.
They're so far away. And over here, you rip a bugle off of a corner of a road, you don't hear anything. You go up another 100 yards, you rip another bugle, and you're on top of an elk. You couldn't hear, or he couldn't hear you from where you were before. And
yeah,
it's just a different dynamic.
It's funny. I drew a tag in the Eastern Oregon unit this year. It's all wilderness where I hunt over there, and you'd think that I would be excited to go and hunt that. I am, but it's something that's hard for me to leave. My favorite animals to go over and hunt. So I'm thinking, like the first couple weeks I'll stay here, and I might venture over there, but it's hard for me to leave an animal that I've come to know how to hunt and stuff a lot better, than like a Rocky Mountain, I guess.
Yeah, that's sort of an understatement, man. Derek's piles up quite the number of big Rosie bulls every year. But he'll still shoot a spike, I'll tell you that much.
That's the big thing you see nowadays with the hunting and like the Instagram and all the people's social media, is they're always trying to push, what's the score of the animal. For me growing up with people, it's never about how big the animal it is. It's always been about how, putting meat in your freezer.
Yeah.
And that's how I look at everything. As I go into the woods every year and hunt with the mindset of I'm going to have one opportunity.
Yeah.
And so, you don't pass up spikes. You don't pass up, raghorn bulls or whatever. It's our mindset is we shoot the first legal bull that comes in.
Yeah.
Because you're only going to have so many opportunities is how I think.
Sure, and I talked with Jesse Wise last week. I don't know if you know Jesse, but him and he said it best. It's not about the size of the antlers. To him, it's about the size of the hunt. So who you were there with, how it all went down, and all that is a lot more important, than the size of the antlers. Because if you folks don't know much about Rosies, they're not known for packing the biggest headgear around.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's, some guys, I've shot smaller bulls from like raghorns to 4x5s, and, you look at the body on the elk that we have here versus, some bulls over east, is the body sizes are unbelievably bigger.
Yeah. What would you say a mature bull weighs here on the hoof?
For around here, depending on how old it is, if you get a good 6-year-old bull, he'd probably weigh around, the 600, 700, 800 pounds.
Yeah.
You get, up in the bulls that are a lot older, and around here, it's not it's not uncommon for a bull to be 1,000 pounds.
Yeah.
It sounds crazy, but
it's
true.
But a spike bull over here, you're talking 500 pounds, 600 pounds.
Yeah. You're definitely getting up there in weight and getting a ton of meat, to bring home to your family.
Yeah, for sure. So when it comes to, you said your favorite thing about Rosies is kind of just that you've done it for so long. You've kind of developed a game plan of sorts with the Rosies. So let's get into that game plan a little bit. What do you guys kind of do?
So the way I like to hunt Roosevelt is, people asked me this before, and the biggest thing I gotta say is hunt your elk in your location. Every elk, is going to act a little bit different, same as people. They're going to have their own personalities. They're going to get in the rut at a different time. My favorite time to hunt is going to be the first week of season to the last, 2 weeks of season.
Sure.
The reason for this is because you get a lot of those bulls that are still in bachelor herds.
Yeah.
And, it's a lot easier to get in on a group of elk, bulls, to say, and Cal called them in because they're just starting to, get in that point where they're going to start breaking up from each other, going to find cows, and it's a lot easier to, call those bulls into you to get an opportunity to shoot. Same with, towards the end of the season, those bulls are fired up, they're getting aggressive, and you can really get in there and push them and, rip off bugles and get them to come back and challenge you to get a shot.
Yeah. So do you guys kind of do the same? You run the cat roads and...
We do. It's kind of funny is the morning I like to, depending on where you're at, you can get elk that are kind of still going to be fired up. My favorite time to hunt is from that like 10 o'clock to 1 to 4. And that's when the bulls are with the cows. I like to wait until they go in, they bed down. And once they have their cows where they feel safe, they're a little bit easier to cow call and get them off of that herd.
Once they got their cows bedded?
Yes, exactly, because they feel like they're more safe to go out and bring a cow back.
Yeah, sure.
Or if you get a bull that's bugling, you can tell, if he bugles and you bugle back and he's between that 10 to 20 seconds, to reply back, get in there fast, cut the distance off, and then rip off a big bugle and get that guy fired up because he'll actually draw back to you to get an opportunity to keep his cows.
Sure. So you think in that 10 to 20 second range, does that mean he's covering ground coming towards you, or does that mean he's kind of just laying in his bed talking shit?
So when he responds back from like that 10 to 20 seconds or less, that just lets you know how ready that bull is to be calling. I always joke about that, is if that bull's ready or not.
Yeah, so is that an indicator for you in that 10 to 20 second range?
If I rip off a bugle and that bull responds in 5 seconds or instantly or cuts me off, instantly that pops in my head is that bull's killable.
Yeah.
If you get that wind right, you get his cows right, and you get in there, he's a total killable bull.
Okay.
You get with elk that they're responding, but it doesn't sound like they're too into it. They may be bugling away from you. You're going to have to kind of take a different tactic, maybe back out for a little bit. It wouldn't even hurt going back in a day or so later, and maybe that bull's hyped up, but it's hard to leave a bull that's bugling. You just got to be more sensitive on how to approach him if he doesn't sound very aggressive yet.
Yeah, I had that experience last year with a bull that would bugle and chuckle 30 times, and then you'd move 50 yards and he'd move 50 yards the other way. I think he was kind of just running his cows away.
Exactly.
Kind of the same thing you're talking about. I was ripping big bugles at him, and he was kind of just, maybe he was a smaller bull. I don't know, but he was just pushing cows away from us, maybe a little worried about it. So you would say that bull wasn't ready to go.
Exactly. And the thing that I've been told is you always hear guys, that are always talking about bugling, is they say bugle small, like a little bull, so, the elk, will be willing to fight, which I don't really agree on that one too much. I mean, it can to a point, but a saying that I was told is, let's say you and your girlfriend go in a bar, and you sit down, and you have a young guy that is, not that good looking, and he comes up and he starts hitting on your girlfriend.
Sure.
You're, as you being the bigger guy, you're going to kind of, just brush him off and be like, hey man, go away or whatever. Mm-hmm. You get a guy that comes in and he is let's say he's an ex-military or whatever, and he's this big ripped dude, and he's going to try to steal your girlfriend, you're going to get aggressive. Yeah. That's the same exact way an elk is. You get in there, you rip off a big bugle, and that's going to, in a sense, irritate him, and you're going to have a better chance of getting that bull to respond and have a counter to shoot.
Yeah, that's an interesting theory, because I've heard guys say the same thing, start small. I think a lot of guys relate it to like rattling in a deer, they start small and just kind of cow call in here and then let out a little squeal and then get bigger and bigger and bigger. Well, I don't know, if that guy's not worried about you, he's not worried about you, right?
Exactly.
So, and guys, hey, apologize if there's any background noise. Derek and I decided to record this podcast today in the lovely Stewart Park in Roseburg, so we've got a little bit of road noise. Now I guess there's some construction noise. They're running some excavators and stuff behind us. There's a dude doing some sweet tricks on a unicycle. There's all kinds of cool stuff going on. So if there's any background, and it's super windy. So we
apologize.
We picked a great day to be outside, but it's so nice out to be. We're parked under a big old tree in the shade at a bench. It's real neat. Anyways, back to the meat and potatoes. So is it that difference in calling tactics and landscape and everything that makes you want to chase these elk?
Oh, absolutely. I love steep ground, and I love brushy timber. I love open timber. It's just everything about being in Roosevelt country is phenomenal. Not going to get me wrong. I love being over and hunting east and seeing the different country and stuff like that. But no matter what, it's not home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you. So what about clear cuts, units, man? Everybody talks about units. Do you have a specific theory on hunting around or near or in units?
I've shot bulls in units as well as just on the timberline. I think if you have access to private ground timber companies that you can walk in, or whatever the circumstances are,
that are gated off, maybe?
Yeah, or open. If you can get in there and figure out what elk are doing, majority of the times the elk are going to be out in the morning. You're going to have from daylight to 2 to 3 hours after sunrise to right before dark, maybe an hour or so before dark. Those elk are going to feed out in those units. Mm-hmm. If you can get that wind right and know where those elk escape to, you have a very good chance of spot and stock to get one, or getting down to a location where you can call and actually bring those elk in. It's all very productive.
Yeah, okay. I know that's one that a lot of guys, I think the theory now, and Born and Raised has done a good job of showing everybody how to kill a Roosevelt. Those guys
absolutely.
Those guys are legit. I think Cody was telling Garrett that they have 47 or something bulls on film that they've killed with a bow.
Yep.
And that's just what they killed on film, So
that's
those
crazy.
those guys have their game plan, but everybody's got a different one. So that's kind of why I'm trying to touch on that. And I've done it the same way. Park at a closed gate, walk up there, a few hundred yards, rip a bugle, don't hear anything, walk a few hundred more yards, rip another bugle, and that's the game.
And that's another thing that I was going to say is, I don't know what kind of calls that you guys use. I use Phelps just because I like them. They're easy to use. Jason's phenomenal. But there's a reason why they make so many different calls. It's not just because they want to put another call out to sell. Is there a different sound? I may be on a group of elk and there's a bull in there, and I may be using a certain reed and he's not really responding, and I'll maybe change to a different reed and that bull fires up right away.
Yeah.
And so it's just different sounds. I always carry at least 10 reeds with me.
Really?
To play it. Same thing if you go fishing.
Yeah.
If fish aren't biting on a certain fishing plug, you're going to change up your situation and see what works.
Yeah, that's a pretty good analogy. I carry like 4, and I have like a mix of Rocky Mountain calls and Phelps calls. I think there's like a Primos in there.
Nice.
It's just, like I read the package and buy something and try it, right? Like
exactly.
There's some calls that I can't hardly get a cow sound on, but I bugle the best with those.
Exactly.
There's whatever the new blue reed from Phelps, the Born and Raised edition.
Okay, yep.
Dude, I sound awful cow calling on that thing, but I can get some killer bugles out of it. And that's how I am. If I can cow call on one, I can hardly bugle on it.
Good.
If I can rip a good bugle, I can hardly cow call. There's only one call. It's like a brown one from Rocky Mountain Calls.
Yep.
And I can cow call, I can bugle. It's like a good all-around one. And I just haven't found many others that I can do all that with. But that is an awesome analogy with the fishing lures.
Oh, yeah.
I think a lot of guys, try one, and hey, this thing ain't working. And then they put the calls away, and then they go get the wind wrong because they're frustrated, and then they make a bunch of noise, and then it just starts to compound into things. So you trying different things.
Well, and that's another aspect for you to look at is, let's say you buy a handful of calls, maybe 5 calls, and I see a lot of guys when they're trying to cow call or trying to bugle on them is they don't take very long, and they don't like a certain call, or they don't like how this one sounds because they try to make them all sound the same.
Yeah.
There's a reason for them being different. Is maybe that cow call is a little more high pitched and doesn't sound as good. Maybe that's what it's supposed to sound like.
Yeah.
There's just different sounds for different things.
Sure, and I haven't had enough time and experience to know the difference in I don't know what those sounds mean. I don't speak elk. There's biologists that say they speak elk, but unless there's a Google Translate for it, I don't understand.
They really don't know.
But you can really kind of start to get an understanding of what that bull's saying.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of the bulls around here, how often do you hear that high-low, full-tone bugle on, a couple times a season?
It's very, you'll see it more with the Rocky Mountain elk, but for Roosevelts, they have a nice, they'll start out high pitch and then end low. Mm-hmm. That's about it. They're very simple.
They're chucklers, man.
Yes, exactly. They're just very simple. You don't need to do this huge bugle, because that's not what they always do. Don't get me wrong, they do, but not all the time.
Yeah, I've heard some elk sound pretty stupid, guys, so, I don't think you really need to worry too much about how you sound. Just, I think where we're kind of going with it is you just got to try it. You can't be embarrassed to blow a bugle. If you blow an elk away from you, then you did something wrong and
exactly.
You got to work on it.
Yep.
But there's been numerous times where I've made a sound that I was like, uh-oh, what did I just do? And then you have an elk answer, or you make a perfect bugle and you have a bull answer and it sounds like a moose. You never know what, not all animals sound perfect.
No.
Just you have a deeper voice than I have. So, us hollering at the same chick.
It just totally depends. I've had times and, where I've blown elk out. I was walking into the backcountry over east and, heard this god-awful bugle and was like, oh my God, I can't believe somebody has found where I hunt. And get all irritated and try to walk on top of this ridge just to see who the heck it was, and sure enough, it's just this huge old bull, and then I blow him out across the countryside, and it's like, huh, It just makes you think a little bit more,
Yeah, we had one last year that we never actually put eyes on him because, the thick country. But
Yeah.
But we were, relating it to bullwinkle. Like, if an elk and a moose would have mated, that was the noise that this bull was making. So we were confused, like, is it a little spike trying to learn how to bugle, or is it a old bull that can't get up?
Yep.
Or it could just be a regular old bull that,
Another thing that I was told younger growing up when it comes to elk is, let's say you get a bull and he is bugling, every 10 minutes, every 20 minutes or less, and he's doing that for 2 days. He's going to be just like you and I are. If we talk for hours, we're going to have a sore throat.
Okay.
That elk's, that's what I was told. The elk's going to get a sore throat. You're going to get more of that raspy, just god-awful sounding. Maybe they're getting, their voice box getting tired out.
Yeah.
And so it just all depends on, what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
I think there's a huge difference too. Like we were talking about reading emotion. And I think, what is it, The Linguist, that video that Sika put out?
Yes.
Dude, That was so awesome. Like, just listening to those guys talk about the emotion of a bull and stuff. And the more time you spend out, you really start to pick up on that. Like, you can almost tell when a bull's like just bugling just to bugle.
Yep.
Or when he's bugling because he wants to scrap. Or when he's chuckling and pushing his cows away.
Oh, yeah.
Grunting or whatever. You just like you or I, if we're getting in a heated argument, our voices are going to raise and they're going to get raspy and we're going to get mad at each other. And so that's a big thing, is just reading the bulls. I heard a story from one of my buddies about being over east and hunting elk. And he said that a guy was on top of this draw, ripped a bugle, and there were two guys up there, and this old man was telling him, oh, he's not ready yet. And guy's like, oh, I'm going to go in there and kill him, Went down in there, blew the bull out, whatever. And he said about 2 days later he went to that same hole, and that old man was packing that bull out of the bottom of the canyon. Just elk knowledge, man. He was like 75 years old, shooting an old wheel bow.
That is awesome.
Went in there and killed that big bull. So that's pretty crazy. So you can call him in, but how do you find him? What is your preseason? You're always posting pictures of bulls.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the biggest thing, when people, they wonder how to be successful. It is obviously just putting time in.
Yeah.
It is whether you're, in a place where you're able to glass units, or it's a timber patch, or, you're using some kind of like Onyx map or like a view range or whatever, Google Earth, Google Maps, whatever, is getting out and learning your hunting area, your topography, finding spots that, maybe look like there's a bench, there's a meadow, some kind of marshy ground, is get out there and actually walk it.
Yeah.
If you start seeing tracks, you're seeing old rubs. Biggest thing is maybe elk might not be in there during, the preseason.
Sure.
But maybe that spot right there is hot during the last part of August and, all of September.
Yeah.
So pay attention to rubs, pay attention to openings, benches, and that's kind of like what I do. Is look for sign that is probably from that September.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I've experienced the same thing. I went into a spot I was certain there was going to be elk in the other day, fresh sign, and it's all old. Everything's dried up.
Yep.
But I know I was in their last rifle deer season, so October, and there was fresh elk sign in there.
Yep.
Which tells me, hey, maybe this is an area that the cows move to, and the bulls come in here to get after them. That's a big possibility. So
yeah, and definitely depends on where you're hunting. Is once September or August hits, wherever those elk do, is normally they're going to migrate somewhere else. Sometimes you'll get the residential bulls, like the smaller spikes, or cows that are going to stay there. But you're going to get, elk that move way up high, move to a different area, and that's where they shed their antlers. So they're going to be there during that, like the late October where High Cascade Rifle is.
yeah,
So you're going to see elk at different spots, and then once you start to see them growing.
I think that's August. High Cascade Rifle's early.
It should be.
I think it's August, and then it's before somewhere.
Well,
maybe September.
High Cascade Deer is.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, your High Cascade Rifle should start.
Oh, you're talking elk.
Yeah, elk.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, for your elk.
Sorry, I got confused.
No, you're fine. Is your elk are going to be in a different spot, and then once you get done with winter, they go up and shed their antlers. They're going to move up, they're going to move out of their areas and get back in their bachelor herds. Come spring, you'll start to see them move back in through spring bear, and then by August, September, wherever those cows are is where the bulls are going to be.
Yeah,
same thing like a black-tailed deer. Is if you find an area with does, it might not have bucks, but come rut, they're going to be bucks or bulls in that area.
Sure. So that's good work. So trail cameras. I know we had this talk yesterday about trail
did.
cameras, so I want to fill people in on this.
So some people may laugh. I don't use trail cameras at all. I've used them before, and I've had hunters come in and steal them, and that's, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that. So for people that steal trail cameras, shame on you.
Oh, you could say whatever you want on here. You could tell them to go
Oh
eat
yeah,
shit. You could do whatever.
exactly. But
this is uncensored.
But like what I do is, my personal opinion is, I don't want to have trail cameras out there for people to know where somebody hunts.
Right.
And that's my personal opinion. If I'm going to go out there, I'm going to spend every weekend, every evening out there glassing, scouting, hiking, and I'm going to know what bulls are in that area.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't put trail cameras up.
Okay.
They're effective for people. Let's say you're hunting something over east and you got a wallow or whatever, or a meadow. Sure, throw a trail camera up there. That's fine. That's just not what I do, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Not that they're not effective.
And you can't promise that it's going to be there in a month either.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
Yep.
Is I'm polite about it. I pull the guy's SD card. I take a look at what's going on. I let him do the scouting for me.
Yeah.
I own like 4 trail cameras, right?
Yeah.
I keep one on a area that's a blacktail area, and Chantel has a rifle hunt this year.
Nice.
So I've got some in there. I'm kind of making sure it's a spike tag. So I'm kind of in there inventorying the herd, right? Because they're all bachelored up.
Oh
right
yeah,
now.
absolutely.
But well knowing that they could be 3 canyons over come
Yep.
that late season, nobody's saying they're going to be there, and you touched on that really well. So trail cameras are a big no for Derek Carlton. So if you want to kill a big bull every year, don't use trail cameras. Apparently,
Just get out there and scout. Get out there, learn your elk, learn what they do. See where they're going. Let's say you blow the elk out, watch where they go, watch their escape routes, because if you can figure out where they go, where they escape after they get blown out, let's say wind changes, then you know where to be. All it is just being out there, learning the elk, learning your terrain. That's the biggest thing that I like to touch on.
Yeah, so you do a lot of e-scouting. I know that because you were in the back of the ambulance yesterday looking at maps. So
yeah, working hard.
Yeah, working hard. So we were driving, folks, not to a call or anything, just so you know. So when you are e-scouting, particularly for Roosevelt's, I assume is what you're looking for yesterday.
Yep.
So a lot of this is area that anyways.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So what is it that are you looking for? Skid roads? What are you looking for? Specifically when you're e-scouting, because like you said, you're going to go in there and put your boots on the ground anyways.
Yeah.
So what are you eliminating area that isn't going to have elk? Are you trying to find area that does? Because if you have 10 square miles, you're trying to get that down to what a guy can cover in a day.
Exactly.
Or 3. So how do you eliminate where you're not going to go look?
So a lot of times what I do is I'll go, when I'm out there scouting, I'm glassing, I'm hiking, if I'm starting to see a ton of elk in a certain area, or I'm starting to see a ton of tracks, game trails, rubs, I'll get on and look on Onyx or whatever and see what that looks like. Why are they there? Elk are not in a spot for no reason.
Right.
There's a reason why they're there. So there's either water, there's great cover, there's great escape routes, there's great feed. So I'll get on there and I'll look and go, okay, back here, there's a small meadow, that's green. There's probably water there. So I'll go and walk that, and okay, there's a wallow, there's a water hole. That's why they're here. There's a unit, there's old growth, there's reprod. That's what you do, and then you can go and walk it and see and understand the layout. But the Onyx or whatever you guys use, your Google Earth, Google Maps, or View Ranger, they're all going to show you in like a 3D picture of what's going on.
Sure.
And that's what I like to do, is see how the ground lays, see how easy I can move from one spot to another one, how close distance are. It's phenomenal, the stuff that Onyx will allow you to do with those things.
Yeah, so are you, so you're talking water and stuff. Over here we're pretty wet.
Yeah.
Do you think water still plays a big role in finding elk? Say we're looking at a unit, okay, and there's a decent amount of grass and poison oak and all that stuff in a unit, whatever you think the elk are hitting on that time of year. Do you think if there's 2 units side by side that look similar, if there's water in the bottom of one, do you think there's a better chance there's elk in that unit compared to the next, say right now in July?
It totally depends on what's surrounding those units. you could have 2 to 3 to 4 identical units with the same water, same feed, but if those units have maybe a active road close by, maybe have straight old growth timber, and don't have any reprod, the elk aren't going to stay in that old growth timber. They're going to be more in that, 16-year-old reprod or 16-foot reprod or whatever that case is, so they can hide.
Yeah.
Elk don't like to be seen.
Right.
And so if they have an escape route where, you can't see them, it's hard to hunt, they're going to be more towards the smaller timber, that reprod, so they can still access that unit and go back in there and hide. Doesn't mean they won't pass through the old growth, but it's just going to be a passing section.
Right. That's a big misconception too. I think when I first started hunting up here, I was always like, oh, look at that big timber. That's where those.
Yeah.
Because you think like, oh, okay, you're picture perfect 300-inch Roosevelt bull.
Yeah.
You're like, oh man, he's just a big blackhorn mossback beast that lives in the timber. And how often do we run into elk that are just out in a unit? I mean, that's where they can eat, right?
Exactly.
All the Douglas fir cover and madrones and everything we have, they don't let any sunlight hit the forest floor.
Exactly.
So it's, if they are munching on something, in the timber, you're talking finding them in skunk cabbage and ferns and all that. And so they've got to eat, folks.
I mean, it's my 2 biggest bulls that I've harvested have, the first one was in a old BLM patch of timber.
Yeah.
And the second one was in an old kind of BLM patch of timber, but they don't hang out there. It's a spot where you can go back to the same area for a week and eventually you'll run into a herd.
Yeah.
Or a lone bull or whatever, but it's, they're cruising through it. They're going to point A to point B. It's pretty much just like a crossing.
Sure. Sure.
Not saying that some elk don't live in them. Maybe they're surrounded by reprod, and maybe there's one big water hole in the middle of that BLM or Forest Service or any place that has old growth timber. Their elk are going to kind of cruise through there, but they're going to stay in more of that hidden spot. It's just what I found.
Yeah. So when you're looking in that old growth timber, are you looking for benches? Are you looking for water specifically? Because I hear a lot of guys, and I think guys up here that are new to Roosevelt hunting get confused, especially if they're coming from Nevada or, Arizona or New Mexico. If that's where these guys have hunted, the desert water makes a huge difference, but over here, every draw has 3 creeks in it.
Yep.
So I don't think that, I personally don't look and say water, there's elk there.
Yeah, exactly. You're 100% correct. I'll look for water source for maybe a wallow. I've hunted off a wallow one time and shot 1 elk off a wallow. That's it. But if you can find spots that are cool, that's why the elk are there.
Right.
It's in September, it's hot. If you get places that have more water, you have draws, you have benches or whatever, and those elk are able to bed down midday and be cool, that's where they're going to be.
Yeah.
And that's why I look for that, is because, they're just kind of like you and I. When we get hot, we don't like it. We want to cool down.
Yeah, we're sitting under a shade tree right now.
Exactly.
And
so the elk are going to do the same thing, and that's kind of what I look for and definitely is when I go out and hunt, if there's other people there, I try to figure out how I can hunt harder than that other person.
Sure.
Is a lot of people, don't go too far. Nowadays it's getting more, irrelevant people are starting to go farther.
Yeah. There's it's like a fad now almost. Guys are starting to hunt harder,
Absolutely.
Which is cool because, to be fair, if a guy's going to go, 2 miles in, I might shoot an elk 1 mile in.
Exactly.
Just it's hit in the back there.
Yep.
So.
Exactly. And so it's all about learning your area. And like I said, early in this, is hunt your elk. Everybody elk does different things. I could tell you to go out there and bugle at this and do that, but each elk are going to act differently. Granted, They're all going to be kind of similar. It's just all getting out there, learning your elk, learning your area, and putting your scouting to the test.
So you're not a guy that hunts with one particular script.
Oh,
no. Like you talk to, or you watch any of the Born and Raised videos, and they're running the playbook.
Yep.
Running the playbook all day long. They could see, they'll know there's elk in an area, and if they can't hear that bull bugle, they're going to move on.
Yeah.
And they're going to go run their playbook, and it works really well for them.
Yep.
But so you are more, you hunt the area.
Exactly.
More than you hunt based on your past experience and what has worked for you.
Yep.
You're kind of a guy that's saying, hey, I'm going to try whatever, wherever, and get it done.
Yeah, no, Born and Raised is phenomenal. What they do, their tactic is amazing. It works fantastic for them. What I try to do with my area is, like I said, is I hunt only knowing I'm going to get one opportunity. That's my mindset. So if I'm hunting an area and there may be 20 bulls and there may be one bull, I'm going to do everything in my power and hunt as hard as I can every single day to try to capitalize on that one opportunity.
Right.
So if I get a bull and he's not bugling, how can I find a different way to hunt him, not blow him out, and have an opportunity to kill him?
Right, and then you see there's that Ridge Reaper video with Cam Haines, and he's all spot and stock.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, that dude doesn't like, he says he doesn't like calling elk. I don't know.
Yeah,
but it's all spot and stock, so there's different ways to do it. I mean, what works for one guy might not work for the next, and you might not be like Derek's in killer shape. He could probably go 10 miles a day every day during elk season and make it just fine. You might not be in that kind of shape or have that kind of mental mindset where there's guys that kill bulls, 50 yards from the truck every year. There's a guy that
absolutely
tells you a story about, I was just driving down the road and there's a 5-point standing there and he jumped up on the cut bank and I bugled once and he ran right to me.
Yep.
So there's happenstance like that, or the wind's wrong and bull comes in anyways.
And it's funny you say that is, some people are going to kind of laugh and say, I am not a lucky person.
Yeah.
I've never had anything that just stood there easy. I've always had to work for everything. And one of the guys that I hunt with, Joey Parsons, he always, flicks me crap because no matter where I kill my elk is always in the worst spots. Just because we go and put our 100% in every single day and trying to get that one opportunity. It doesn't matter if it's spot and stock. If they're feeding down, we're going to sit there and wait. We need to call, we're going to do everything we can in our power and our knowledge to get one opportunity.
Yeah.
And that's how we try to hunt.
Yeah, put all the powder in the bullet every day.
Absolutely.
So that's sweet. So yeah, then you end up in a crapple. So when you e-scout now, you got to look for places that don't have shitholes in them.
Gosh, I know. The problem is I get so drawn to them because majority of the people aren't going to go in there.
Yeah, I mean,
if you look around people and they're hunting, their success is not very high. They're hunting around tons of people. Not saying there's not a lot of elk around a ton of people. Is where are they going? If you're seeing these bulls, seeing these herds, and they're out, during spring, and you get all these archery hunters in there, and now there's no elk. Those elk got to go somewhere. They didn't just disappear.
Right.
They're going to be in a draw held up somewhere. They're going to be in a different ridge system. So I try to find and hunt that ridge system to get away from somebody. And it might be the worst spot in the entire coast range or whatever. But if I'm going to kill, I'm going to do that if I can kill a bull because I spent $42 for an elk tag.
Yeah. Yeah, and your license and let's not even get into the cost of elk tags. This is something that I had written down here. I want to talk about your gear setup real quick since you got me on that. I forgot about it.
No, you're
so totally... since you talked about spending $42 on a tag, let's talk about what you're running for a bow this year.
So this year I'm shooting the new Hoyt RX1. It's an 80-pounder. It shoots phenomenal for me. I think it's just the regular. It was like a 30 or 31 inch axle. I actually think that's what the normal RX1 is.
I have the Hyperforce.
Hyperforce.
It's the aluminum model of that.
And so, I'm running that. I'm running Easton arrows. I'm shooting FMJ. It's a 300 spine with a 150 grain kudu. I'm like right at 530 grains. Shooting Spot Hogfather. I've been running that. It's a 5-pin adjustable for years. It's my favorite go-to. I'm shooting a Hamsky limb-driven rest. It's been phenomenal the last 2 years, and just running the Hoyt 6-arrow quiver. But it's a solid setup. It really is.
I mean, a guy pulling 80 pounds and shooting that heavy of an arrow, you're throwing a telephone pole at him.
It's about a Lincoln log.
Yeah. I'm at 400. I think almost 490 grains, and I feel pretty good about it. But yeah, I wish I could pull 80 pounds. My shoulder doesn't want to allow me to do it yet. But.
Yeah, I remember you said something like you got a rotator cuff.
Well, it's like a strain.
Gotcha.
We'll get there one of these days. That's why I can't hold up the giant Phelps bat bugle because my shoulder,
Yep.
So I have to run the smaller one. So, do you think though? Back on the calls real quick. I know. Sorry guys, I'm all over the map. We kind of got down the rabbit hole on a few things, but. That's what podcasts are for.
I know. This is non-planned out, by the way.
Yeah, it's not planned. It was like a couple days ago or yesterday. I'm like, hey man, you want to podcast tomorrow?
Right,
sure, let's do it. So, Derek, he's just a guy that I've been watching over the last few years, and it seems like every day he posts a picture of something dead, or big bucks that he's scouting out. So this is more of a selfish episode for me. I'm like, how is this guy killing everything? And I'm hiking 9 miles or 8 miles a day. I'm tired and sore and pissed off.
But dude, you know what? You're on the right path. I mean, that's the biggest thing is get out there and hike.
Yeah.
I know, definitely talking to you yesterday. You know, I saw you got new boots.
Yeah, new boots.
You know, you got your new bow. You got different things. You're putting tons of time in, and that's phenomenal. I mean, you're on the right path. You know, being successful. It's not going to come easy, and you know that.
Yeah.
We've talked about that. And I mean, with what you've got going on this year and your excitement, dude, no doubt that if you keep putting your effort, you're going to be successful.
Yeah, that's the plan. I mean, we'll see how much time I get off during hunting season, but if none else, we'll hunt in January.
Yeah.
But yeah, so on being successful, I see a lot of guys. You talk to a lot of guys, and you know they give you the, oh well, you know that's elk hunting. Elk hunting's, you know, the hardest thing. I kill a deer every year. I kill a wily old mule deer buck with my bow every year. But elk they get me, man. And you know, you hear a lot of guys talk about how elk are just, you know, they're put up on a pedestal as this majestic animal that's the hardest thing in the woods to kill.
Yep.
You know, and people, you know, oh, they got the best noses, the best eyesight. You hear all kinds of different crutches that guys are using as to why they haven't killed these things. And, you know, I think taking ownership of that and doing what you do, you know, none of us like being unsuccessful. You know, it's pounded into our heads that a day in the woods is better than a day at work, but a day in the woods of failing all day long, yes, it's still better than being at work, but you get frustrated with yourself because you're not successful. So all these crutches that, you know, we're using as excuses, you know, what are you doing different than these guys for you to be successful? I mean, how many years in a row have you filled an elk tag? Let's say the last 10 years, how many tags do you think you filled?
I think I'm 6. I think I'm 6 elk in a row.
Six elk in a row.
6 elk in a row, I think, right now.
And that's just in Oregon?
Yeah, that's just Oregon.
Okay.
Yep.
Jesus, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's all just putting your time in. I think the problem that I had when I first started, and I one of the older guys I've talked to, he really put a different perspective in my eyes, is I always have this pressure on me every year that I need to kill a bull. I need to kill a big bull. And what he told me is, he said, you don't need to, you want to.
Yeah.
And I didn't really understand that. I'm like, what do you mean I don't need to? I was, of course I need to. I need to put meat in the freezer. I need to do this. And he's like, you're looking at it for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
He's like, you need to go out there with the mindset is you're going to have a blast every day no matter what happens. He's like, you're going to have highs, you're going to have lows. But he's like, for you to get the opportunity and to be free and go out there and hunt, you know, that's what you need to look at. You need to take a step back, because I've always been a very over-serious person about when it comes to hunting. It's 100%. And, you know, like the last couple of years, I've been going out with the mindset of just have fun, you know, hunt hard. And what I look at is if it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I do. It's just understand if something doesn't happen, don't get mad, even though it's extremely hard not to.
Yeah,
because maybe there's going to be another opportunity.
Yeah, or you never know. You're pouting walking back to the truck and you run into a herd because your head's down.
You know, and keep your hopes up. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, so I like that you mentioned that, because that's kind of the new rhetoric. It's like the fallback when somebody questions, like, oh, why do you hunt anyways, you know? And everybody, oh, well, you know, everybody's going to tell you this. It's to put protein-rich organic meat in my freezer and feed my family. Yep. And it's like, yes, that is part of the reason, but I kind of get tired of hearing that, you know, to be honest with you, because everybody, it's like it's a fall safe. You know, it's somebody that gets questioned by a non-hunter, or somebody that, you know, not an anti-hunter specifically, but, you know, your girlfriend's mom or something that doesn't know anyone that hunts, and she says, so what do you do it for anyways? And it always sounds good to somebody to say, well, I just do it for the meat, you know, protein-rich, lean, organic meat. That's good for you. Well, you know, the same guy that says that eats a cheeseburger on the way to go elk hunting. So
exactly.
It's, you know, from McDonald's or whatever. So it's like, that's not the real reason. I think we, as a whole, in the hunting community, need to be less afraid to just tell people I hunt because I love it.
Yeah, that is 100% true. You know, as I love the meat, it's awesome. That's why we do it. But the real reason is I live and breathe to hunt.
Yeah.
It's not just the harvesting of the animal. It's your experiences that you get to see out there that no one gets to see. It's to be with elk is by far my favorite animal, and to be out there and hear elk bugle, hear cows talk, watch them. When I go out in the woods, whatever I have stressing me out, whatever thing I have back at home or on my normal work day is completely gone.
Yeah.
All you think about is what's in front of you. And it's fantastic. It is better high than I'm sure any drug you can possibly take.
I'm sure, dude. I'm sure. But yeah, that's kind of something that I wish people would. If that's really what you believe, sure, that's what you believe, But I really wish that's something that somebody wouldn't use as a fall safe. Like, if somebody, because what you just told me, that's perfectly okay. I don't ask somebody why they paddle or why they row, and they say, oh, because it's good for my health, it's good for my fitness.
Yeah.
Like, no, you can run, you can ride a bike,
you can do anything.
You can do all kinds of stuff that's good for your health. You choose to row because you like to row a damn boat, right? Like, we choose to hunt because we like to hunt.
Absolutely.
You can spend less money and go buy a half a cow from a local rancher that's been grass-fed, cared for the same way, and ethically harvested. So that whole rhetoric is kind of
out the window.
It's not out the window. It's still legit, but it just gets pounded so hard that I kind of cringe every time I hear it a little bit.
I got you. I got you.
Yeah, so talking elk hunts, I know you've told me about your most memorable hunt. Let's get into that. Most memorable Roosevelt harvest.
It's kind of a sad but good one in a way. So last year my grandpa passed away, and it was leading up to elk season. He was getting older. He was starting to have a lot of health issues, and I don't even remember. I think it was the September 15th. I was out hunting, and my mom called me and told me Grandpa wasn't doing good, didn't know if he was going to make it. And so I left and went back and saw him, and he was not doing good. I remember the only thing that he told me was, kill a big bull tomorrow. It sounds funny.
Yeah, it sounds like a script.
It sounds like a script. And he's always said that to me, the times, when I went hunting, and back obviously when he was doing good. And he told me to kill a big bull tomorrow. And I wasn't going to go hunting that next day. And my mom and dad told me that I needed to go, I needed to get away.
Yeah.
And so that next day I went out, I was angry, I was pissed off. I was going to kill whatever the heck I needed to kill. And right off the get-go, spotted a good 5-point bull and some cows. We got down there, and he just wasn't ready. He wouldn't commit to anything. We tried cutting around him, and it just didn't work out. And I was a little bummed, kind of irritated about everything. And we got a bull to bugle. And so, of course, you're hyped up and go, okay, we're gonna get this thing. He's right. Bull comes running down the hill. And sure enough, just like a ton of elk hunts, the wind changed, and that sucker was, mile away. And so I was super disappointed. That whole day, we really didn't get much of anything. And I was actually going to go back and see my grandpa. And we went up to this ridge and glassed across. And sure enough, here was this lone bull. And all you could see is, that's back, I don't remember, last archery season was really smoky.
Yeah.
And we had all those wildfires here in Oregon. And it was like this light shined through, and you could just see antlers across the way. So we booked it all the way down, got all the way over there, and hiked in there. Get up, and I'm glassing. Well, all you see was cows, no bull. And so we waited, did a slow kind of stalk about 20, 30 minutes all the way up there. And there was no bull. I was like, God, unless I'm going crazy or something, I could have swore I saw, a bull over here.
Yeah.
And it was getting, close to evening. The wind ended up changing, was blowing towards the elk. And I was like, there's no way this is going to work at all.
Right.
No confidence. And this elk kind of worked. The elk kind of worked up in the timber. And sure enough, this bull comes out from the bottom of this draw and pushes these cows all the way up into the top of this timber patch. And my buddy Joey and I, we hoofed it all the way up there. And I'm like cussing the whole way because the wind is blowing probably 15 miles an hour straight to the elk.
At your backs?
Oh, yeah, straight to the elk. There's no way this is going to work. And so we get up there kind of where they went in. It's just kind of thick, tall timber. And I looked at Joey and I was like, frick, bugle. So he bugles one time and I can't hear anything. And so I'm looking around. I don't even have an arrow nocked, and Joey hits me on the back with the bugle tube, and he's like, dude, he's running in. Like, I can't hear anything. Didn't even have an arrow nocked. And looked up, and sure enough, you just see these white tips.
Yeah.
So I pulled an arrow out and ranged a tree, and it was 24 yards, and this bull comes, and I cow called and shot and smoked him. He just kind of went up over the hill and expired, and I was like, I cannot believe that happened.
Yeah.
And it all worked out together that I was able to get my dad, my uncle, and one of our other good buddies, Matt, come up. And, you know, my dad and my uncle have never been with me on any big bull. And to have everybody there and be able to go and show my grandpa before he passed away that I got one was probably the most special hunt that I'll ever have, because my grandpa was my idol.
Yeah, that's pretty special, man. And you can I mean, it sounds like a scripted out, perfectly written storybook.
If you look back on it, it doesn't even seem real.
Right.
You know, elk hunts don't always go like that. And for it to happen, you know, so, you know, in line of the stuff, that's something that was actually meant to be.
Yeah, I mean, and you talking about it, you could tell just emotionally it meant a lot to you. And a lot of people's most memorable hunts is the biggest bull or anything like that. And so it's just awesome that, you know, your most memorable hunt might not be the biggest or best bull or the most picture perfect, but that one read the script wrong, man.
Yep.
He came in, you know, downwind and cattywampus, last light.
Came in downwind, silent, and
Man.
you know, it don't happen like that all the time.
No, not often. So that's pretty wild, and especially you got to share it with your dad and uncle and your hunting buddies and everything. So, what's your opinion on shot selection since we got there? I mean, obviously, if we can all, you know, pick, we're going to turn an elk 90 degrees broadside.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
You know, put one right in the crease, I assume.
Yep, that's my favorite shot. And to be honest, that with my opportunities, I've only shot elk broadside.
Wow.
I've almost had opportunities to shoot frontal. It's just how it worked out, but that frontal shot is amazing. My hunting buddy Travis, that is his favorite shot. If he can get a bull to be frontal, he'll do that all day long.
Yeah.
You know, and every year that I go, I was like, if I get one there, I'm going to center punch it.
Yeah, of course.
Just because, you know, you do have a smaller gap, but you're getting everything all the way through that animal.
Yeah.
You know, and the way they're running, you're going to be bleeding all of it out. You got all their veins in that part of the neck.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's a phenomenal shot.
Yeah.
You quartering away, you know, you can get 2 quartered and get 1 lung, you know, depending if it's quartering to you, quartering away. Just picture where you want the arrow to come out.
Yeah.
Is the base. I mean, you know that.
Yeah, I love that. That's one thing that I think super important with hunting is, like, a lot of the setups we're shooting nowadays, not that you want to plan to bury a arrow in the shoulder knuckle or anything, but a lot of the setups that we're shooting as scapula is not crap.
Oh, no.
You know, and that's not telling anybody to go out and shoot an elk in the shoulder. Obviously we don't want to do that. You know, I'm on a slippery slope right here saying this, but I mean, you crowd the shoulder, no problem. You're shooting a telephone pole at 280 foot a second.
Well, and that's why I do that, is because, you know, with elk hunting, there's such big animals and there's so many things that can go wrong. If you set your equipment up to be higher poundage, if you can pull that, if you can get away with shooting a heavier arrow, you're going to have a way better chance of, if something goes wrong, you hit that scapula, you're going to have a better chance of blowing through it.
Right.
You know, and that's what happened to me last year, is that bull came down so fast. When I cow called and stopped him, he had that leg back. I didn't see it, and I blew right through that scapula and right out, you know, arrow poking out the other side. And so it's not what you want to have happen, but to have a heavier arrow, you know, heavy poundage, it gives you that kinetic energy to blow through something that, you know, you don't want to have happen. Just a little bit of a cushion.
Right, and that's, I mean, doing those things like pulling heavier poundage and you know, you don't want to get to the point where your equipment outperforms you and you can't shoot it well. You know, I recently took my true draw length is like 29 inches and I'm shooting 28 and a half.
Yeah.
You know, just because I hold just a little better there.
Yep.
And when your adrenaline's going and your hands are shaking and you just ran up to the top of a mountain, like, that pin bounces like crazy no matter what kind of shape you're in. We can eliminate a little of that, but...
Well, and that's another thing is, when I worked at Bowtech, you got a lot of guys that came in and they're, you know, so into that speed, getting that longer draw length, is, you'll shoot a shorter draw length better always than you will a longer draw length.
Yeah,
so,
not a 26-inch draw length.
No, but
28,
but
a
a half inch shorter
Yeah.
is you'll always shoot it better. So I always run mine a half inch shorter, just because if you're, like you said, if you're tired, you're shooting downhill, you're shooting uphill, you're not going to have that insane creep on you, and you'll just be way better off having just a half inch shorter.
Yeah, you're holding it for 30 seconds or whatever. And
absolutely. You're not going to be so stretched out.
yeah, and so, I mean, you're an in-shape dude, firefighter, paramedic student, hunting elk, hiking the hills all the time. Do you think, I think I'm not saying everybody needs to go out and run 10 miles a day and pack 100 pounds around on their back, but I mean, just walking up a hill once a day.
Oh, yeah.
Anything. This whole fitness craze that's going on right now, I think is great that it's shedding light on the fact that we do need, these animals are out there living it every day.
Yep.
We ride in cars and sit at desks and do all this stuff for so many hours a day, while the elk are walking through the mountains that we're going to chase them through.
Exactly.
And it's not like the elk are sitting there like, hey guys, we got to prepare, it's hunting season and Cam Haines is coming out. Like, nobody thinks that. No elk think that. But man, I keep doing that. Every podcast he gets mentioned, and I think I'm gonna have to start paying him money.
Hey, dude, you might.
Got to send royalties to Springfield, Oregon. But do you think? Not on the extreme side of fitness, but do you think just a little bit is beneficial to a guy for both mental strength and physical strength? Like just that pushing yourself in the gym a little bit.
Absolutely. You don't need to lift crazy. And if I could say one thing, when it comes to fitness, is you use your legs when you go in and you use your legs when you go out.
Yeah.
Some guys go in there and, they just love to sit down and bench, which is fun. Trust me, bench is fun. But to do more, your slow hiking, throw some weight in your pack, do, like medium weight, high reps.
Yeah, Stairmasters.
Yeah, anything like that that's going to get your target heart rate up. Mm-hmm. Going to get your cardiovascular system going, your lungs going. And it's going to be way better off for you in the woods when you're not sucking wind.
Yeah.
You don't need to, curl a whole bunch of weight or do all that. You just need to have great fit legs and great lungs. That's the biggest thing.
Right. And then, too, one thing I learned, I did train to hunt, my first train to hunt this year.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And, man, I can't put into words how important shooting your bow, like practicing scenarios, right?
Yeah.
Do 15 jumping jacks and shoot your bow. And I guarantee you those groups that you're shooting at 60 yards that are, 5 inches, that's a respectable group for a broadhead.
Yeah.
60 yards, 8 inches, that's vitals.
Yeah.
Right? Now do 15 or 30 jumping jacks and shoot, an arrow, and then do 15 more and shoot another arrow. And do that for 6 arrows, and that group is going to be the size of a block target for most guys. So you learn that, and you got to learn to breathe and slow your heart rate back down. And I've punched the trigger on animals just because you're rushing, and for some reason you think that you've only got a quarter second to shoot him.
Exactly.
And if he doesn't know you're there, you got all the time in the world to pull through a shot.
And especially if you're, if you're doing a lot of walking, you're a lot of hiking, and let's say you got a group of elk and you're trying to cut them off, you're trying to beat them to a certain spot, you're trying to hoof it up to a ridge, you got a bull screaming coming in, you're running in there to get a shot, you're already going to be amped up. If you're out of shape, and you're already running, trying to hoof it up the hill, and now you got to sit here and draw your bow when first of all you got the adrenaline from an elk, and then you're sucking wind, it's going to be a struggle to draw your bow, get a clean shot.
Yeah, and that's the thing with the heavy poundage too, is you're in good shape. You could pull 80 pounds when you're under stress or when it's freezing cold.
Yeah.
I could probably pull it, no problem, but would I shoot it as good as I shoot 72? Probably not.
Yeah.
So, I'd rather shoot that lighter weight, and that's, especially if you're hunting the Oregon coast, like, you're talking the minimum of like a 20%, 30% grade anywhere.
Absolutely.
So if you're running to cut a bull off, you're running, up to the top of a mountain, and that's, ridge to ridge could be, 400 feet, 500 feet in elevation, from the bottom of a draw to the top.
Yep.
You're gaining some serious elevation in a hurry.
Yeah,
so.
A lot of it is you're 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Yeah.
You get some of that loose dirt and.
Yeah, no kidding. Duff.
Yep.
You fall into berries, man. Berries and vine maple. How many times have you just ate shit?
I've come to extremely hate blackberries.
Yeah. Oh, I hate them.
Their little strands seem to snag both of my feet.
Yeah, vine maple and blackberries, man. It's the worst. So, I think we covered the Rosies pretty dang good, man. I think everybody could get a little bit out of this. Maybe you just talking, you taught yourself something you didn't think about all the time, and that's what I love so much about this platform is it's free, and we're sitting in a park with a $30 microphone hooked up to a computer, and we're just talking, man. So what are your plans for this year, Derek? So, are you hunting in-state, out-of-state?
I was going to do something a little bit crazier and go out of state. I think I'm actually going to put that off until next year.
Sure.
We might be getting into like Colorado, just kind of over-the-counter stuff.
Yeah.
But this year, I think I'm going to stick around here just for elk right off the get-go. It all depends on what fire danger does.
Yeah.
If it's like, level 4 or whatever over here and we're not able to hunt anything, then I'll probably go push east and hunt my tag a little bit earlier.
Yeah, and the reason for that, folks, is we hunt a lot of private timberlands over here that allow public access, and when it goes into an extreme fire danger, they close that down to public access, but the Forest Service and BLM stuff on the east side is still open.
Yep.
So just to clarify that.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of your, you can hunt a lot around here that's open. A lot of private timber companies will just open their gates, but just like anything, same with BLM, Forest Services, they hit that high fire mark, they're going to close you down.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah. So hunting over here for elk, and then we've got. Do you fall bear hunt much or not really?
Oh yeah, dude. It's funny. Fall bear and spring bear are an absolute blast.
Oh, I love it.
It is so much fun. You go out there with your buddies, and in my personal opinion, it is the most laid back hunting that you can do.
Dude, I joined the Keystone crew during spring bear season. At least two beers go down a night.
That is
spring
perfect.
Bear hunting.
That is perfect.
Chill up on a landing and nice weather. Everything's green.
I love it.
We'll have to do a podcast on spring bears.
Oh, we will.
So do you use fall bear hunting to scout for elk?
I do. That kind of still tradition or transitions from my spring bear all the way through.
Yeah.
Depending on the location, sometimes I have a hard time shooting a bear before, unless it's with my bow, because I don't like to make a ton of noise. It sounds bad, but I don't like to go out there and just shoot a bunch with my rifle.
Yeah.
We have killed, like last year we killed fall bear with a rifle before archery season. But it seems like normally I hold my tag, and I've probably killed two or three bears with my bow during archery elk season.
Yeah.
Just kind of walking out, you see them, go make a fun stalk for an afternoon hunt or whatever.
Yeah, and then you spend the day when it's 90 degrees cutting up a bear.
Yep, absolutely.
in the middle of a unit.
You wonder why you did it.
Yeah, so that's it, blacktail, late season?
I might, I've always wanted to kill a big velvet blacktail.
Dude, you gotta do it on like the first day.
I know.
They're gone after that.
You get that first week, maybe that first
Garrett
open
killed
weekend.
a nice one last year, nice velvet buck.
I think I saw that.
It was like 100. I think it's like 130 inches, maybe.
So that's a good buck. That's a really good buck.
Yeah.
But I might try for that. Just to get a good velvet buck. If not, then I'll just hit late season deer hard.
Late season's so fun.
It's a blast.
It's so good.
Yeah, some years aren't as good as others, but.
Last year was good.
Yeah, when you hit that rut good, it is fantastic.
It's like a 2-day stretch.
Yep.
So you've got yourself a pretty decent following these days. I mean, a lot of guys are always looking at your stuff. What do you think about being a good? And I just want to lightly touch on it. I don't want to soapbox.
Oh no, you're fine.
Thing. But how do you feel? I would consider you an ambassador for hunting, right? Anybody that buys. I heard it somewhere. Anybody that buys a tag is a hunting ambassador instantly because you're out hunting. So how do you feel like your image that you portray to people, do you feel like it positively affects hunting? Or
that's kind of always been my lookout on things is always try to be humble. There's a lot of guys out there, not dissing on them, but there's no need to be cocky.
Yeah.
Just because you may kill more than somebody, you have, better equipment, better boots, or get to hunt better land does not make you a better person.
Right.
And so I always try to treat everybody with respect. Everyone that I meet is my friend.
Yeah.
And you just got to look at it like that because you're not better than anybody else.
Sure.
Everyone deserves a chance. Everyone's new that comes out that wants to talk to you. It's just everyone's a big family in hunting. Doesn't matter if you're hunting with rifle, muzzleloader, crossbow. We're all in it together, and that's how it should be because for people that are anti-hunters that want to shut us down or do different things, we can't be hateful towards each other just because you use a rifle or a bow.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
I always look at it like that, is we're all a big family. We, treat each other how you want to be treated.
Sure.
And that's kind of how I view.
Yeah,
that.
I mean, you're a guy that still, you've killed plenty of big bulls, and you'll still go shoot a spiked deer and put it on your Instagram.
Oh, absolutely.
So, or a doe, or whatever.
Yeah, it's
and that's a big deal. A lot of guys have this big penis complex where they've got to put, if they got to shoot a 300-inch bull, or it's not going up anywhere, or the picture's got to be perfect, or whatever. And
and I love hunting. I love, obviously, everyone loves big bulls. Everyone loves big bucks. But at the end of the day, how I look at it is, I bought my tag. I'm going to fill my tag.
Yeah.
Whether that's from a spike bull to a 300-inch bull to a forked horn buck to a big 4-point.
Small deer with a broken leg. You got to help.
It's you're all out for the same reason to hunt. I mean, granted, I totally respect guys that hunt for mature animals. I try to, at least sometimes during the year, but all in all, it's I go out there and just have fun, and if it happens, it happens.
Don't pass on. What is it? Don't pass on the first day. What you want to shoot on the last.
Yep.
Something like that.
Yep.
I don't know. Anyways, any closing thoughts, Derek? We're wrapping this thing up. We're getting to be about an hour and 5 minutes.
Oh, dude,
10 minutes.
I had a blast. Thanks for having me on here.
Yeah.
I know some people that'll listen to this. I hope you guys learned something. I'm not an expert hunter. I'm just a normal guy that likes to go out there and have a blast and spend times with friends and family and, get to hunt. I mean, that's pretty much plain and simple.
Yeah, if guys are curious, man, how to contact you, what's your Instagram?
So my Instagram is just Derek Carlton with the lower dash in between Derek and Carlton.
Underscore?
Yeah, underscore. That thing.
Derek _Carlton. And I'm going to put all these in the show notes. So, Facebook?
Yep, it's just Derek Carlton.
Just Derek Carlton on Facebook. Yep. And if you're cool with guys, if guys got a question about anything, are you cool with them emailing you?
Yeah. Actually, if you go on my Instagram, I have it set up as public.
Okay.
And so you can go on there. I do have my cell phone number. I do have my email. Cool. If you guys have questions, feel free to shoot me email or text or whatever.
Yeah, reach out to Derek.
And I'll do my best to get back to you.
And I'm sure if you can't answer it, you got someone you could direct them to answer it,
Absolutely.
No matter what it comes down to. So I just have a single question now, and that's if you could hunt one single animal, any species, I don't care if it's the craziest thing anybody could think of, anywhere with anybody, no set number of people. So any animal, anywhere in the universe, entire universe, and with anybody you want to bring.
Dude, that's easy.
Yeah.
I'll just go hunt Roosevelt bulls.
It's the most cliche answer
that's
ever.
easy.
With Joey and Travis?
Yep, Joey, Travis, and Matt.
Cool.
Yep.
All right, man, that's pretty simple. No closing thoughts.
Dude,
I guess we did that.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I'm super unorganized.
Oh, dude, you're fine.
All right. Well, then we'll wrap it up. It's been a pleasure. We'll have to get back on for maybe a blacktail podcast or spring bear podcast, or when I run out of people that want to talk to me, we'll just talk about nonsense for another hour.
That works good for me, man.
All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. We'll have Derek back for another one. Well, that's a wrap. And I don't know about you guys, but I know I sure learned a ton about hunting those big Roosevelt bulls here in Oregon from Derek Carlton. Derek, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show, man. I can't wait to have you back to talk blacktails and bears. Guys, if you learned anything from this episode or the past episodes, or you just enjoy listening to the show, please help me out by giving me a review on whatever podcast platform you're using. Also, if you subscribe, it will notify you when the new episodes come up. Speaking of new episodes, I have 2 badass lady hunters from Oregon coming on the show next week, so you guys definitely won't want to miss that. Once again, I can't thank you guys enough for listening. It means so much to me, all the feedback and positive and negative comments I'm receiving from everybody who's listened to the show. I'm getting more downloads than I could have ever imagined, and it wouldn't be possible without you guys sharing it and spreading the word to your friends and family. So for that, I am eternally grateful, and I hope you guys continue to tune in. Until next week, this is Royce, the Bow Hike Podcast, and I'm signing off. Thanks again for listening.